Everyone, I'm Anupama Chopra,
And I'm Rahul Desai.
and we are, of course, talking about the movies and what happened last week. So, Rahul, I think we should just tell everyone that we're going to be discussing Padman in detail, and therefore, if you have not seen the film and don't want spoilers, please stop watching now. Correct?
Right.
Yeah. Also, Rahul, before we begin, I feel like we should give a shout out to the actor Siddharth, and I'm deeply apologetic. I think we upset him because we were having a conversation about horror films, but we did not mention his film, The House Next Door, Aval in Tamil. And he said that we were frogs in a well, which I completely am. I don't watch Tamil cinema.
True, I can understand where he's coming from.
Yes.
Because it's apparently one of the better films of.
Absolutely, I heard great things,
Yeah.
and Bharadwaj Rangan reviewed it on Film Companion very well.
And obviously, as it turned out, we hadn't watched it.
Correct.
And I can only speak. When we discuss things, it's mostly in context of Hindi cinema. At least that. We watch. I watch very little South Indian cinema in general, but it's mostly not on a professional capacity.
Exactly.
So
I feel like I
it's
don't
the
know
big
enough
ones.
to comment.
Yeah, obviously. If I had seen it, maybe we would have sort of. Maybe
Discussed
because I had mentioned U-Turn, which was the Kannada film, it felt like I was ignoring
Like you were
something.
purposefully ignoring
Yeah,
it.
but no, I can understand that reaction.
Yeah.
But I just wish he hadn't reacted from a troll who was trying to incite him into reacting.
Correct.
But
correct.
he has every right to say that. So.
Absolutely. And the film is now on Netflix for all of you who want to see it. Moving on to Padman. I was underwhelmed, but I think you liked it even less than I did.
I sort of liked it a little more than Toilet. I'm going to always mention all these films together now because there is no way I can say something remotely positive without comparing them to the previous film.
Sure.
So to be fair, I was when I went in and I saw the first 10 minutes, first 15 minutes, I thought it wouldn't be a very rocky ride because I go in with expectations of a baggage of R. Balki film and baggage of the trailer showing that Akshay Kumar doing his usual addressing the nation film, but it wasn't so much the intention behind the film. I don't care anymore about what propaganda, what agenda is there behind the film. It wasn't a very well made film.
Right. In fact, Rahul, I felt that the intentions were very applause worthy.
Yeah, sure.
I cannot imagine Rahul, an A-list star, willing to do some of those scenes, especially that scene where he's putting on a pad. He's trying it on. He's sort of squatting to make sure it fits properly, and then he leaks, and there's blood all over his pants. For a actor of that sort of superstardom, coming from a place where he's done all these insane action movies and all of this, to finally say that yes, I'm willing to put on underwear and a sanitary napkin, I think is amazing. And really hats off. My problem was exactly the same, that it's just not very well crafted. I felt like somewhere along the way, I was very invested in his relationship with Radhika Apte, with his wife, Lakshmi's relationship with his wife, which felt to me, emotionally real.
Right.
And I find, Radhika is a wonderful actor, and I found her to be sort of rooted in a milieu that felt believable.
Right.
So for me that was working, but then when we got into the second half,
we
where
got out of the village.
we got out of the village, we went into the other village, which never felt like a village.
Nameless.
The nameless location somewhere else in Madhya Pradesh.
Right.
Then things started to completely just drive me crazy. To begin with, Sonam Kapoor's character Pari as a tabla player.
Oh yeah, the opening introduction.
What did that mean?
Right, and they didn't follow. That's the thing, the whole thing about lending texture to your environment, to your characters, suddenly introducing them with something and just not following up with anything. Suddenly, then she's an MBA graduate who's looking for placement.
Yeah.
And there is, I don't mind them putting that scene or how bad or how good Sonam Kapoor is at looking like a tabla player. If it mattered in context of what was to follow, I don't mind it,
Yeah.
it should, like Akshay Kumar is a blacksmith. It matters, right?
Sure.
What his profession
That
matters.
makes him do what
it
he
makes him
does.
do what he does. It
Yeah.
makes him think the way he does.
Yeah.
Why Sonam Kapoor? Why
Yeah,
do
it
that?
felt like it was a little signifier of she's so cool.
She's so cool.
You know?
She's a little bit of both. You know,
Yeah.
she can sort of straddle the gap between rural and urban very easily, traditional and modern very. But it really didn't. They didn't follow up with that because. And my problem wasn't even Sonam Kapoor so much by then because it was just the convenience of the narrative by then.
That's what it felt like. It became a series of just
Coincidence.
coincidences.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so the scene that really drove me mad was when in the middle of the night, Sonam Kapoor is being driven around this village and she's looking for pads.
Yeah.
And Lakshmi is walking just at that very moment in the middle of the night back to his house with pads in his pockets. I was just like,
I know. And
how is this okay?
exactly, and that's interesting you mentioned that scene because the way how Akshay Kumar played that scene, for example, they run up to him and ask him if there's a medical shop. He's like, "Kya chahiye?" He just gives a pad to them,
Yeah.
and he has a very sort of an expression that looks to justify the convenience of the story,
Right.
saying, "Oh shit, they found me, I found them."
Yeah.
Matlab, even we know it's ridiculous.
Right.
That's why it should look funny to you guys. So laugh right now. And a lot of his reactions in the film were that he had a lot of one-liners. Even earlier in the film, when a sort of a chemist hands him a pad underneath,
Right.
you know, he is like, "Kya drugs de rahe ho?" Something like that. Hashish de rahe ho.
Right.
The thing is, those lines are sort of representative of a hero who has just been planted into an environment. You know, I could feel him breaking the fourth wall, looking at us and asking us that and telling us to think. Look at how ridiculous my surroundings are,
Yeah.
and look at how progressive I am because I'm a genius. So I should be misunderstood by these guys. The thing is, most of the heroes in biopics are like that these days, and that doesn't go down well with me. I kept trying to look for a reason why none of them appeal to me, and this is one of the primary reasons.
Meaning that you think they feel like superstars planted in that specific
Yeah, I feel like not even
ecosystem.
superstars. It's like written characters planted. Like, for example, it could be me. That would be my reaction when I was at the medical shop. But the point is, it's not me because I
Right.
live in a city.
Right.
He lives in that village all his life. How can he react like that?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
that's the sort of thing. And it's all good for crowd pleasing
Right.
humor and stuff.
Right.
I found it funny when I saw it.
I did. I
But
laughed at
when I
that
thought
line.
about it, I was like, it makes no sense. You know, it's sort
It's
of
not
like an
organic.
alien put into an environment.
Yeah,
You know, so
yeah.
it's
just
all
not
good.
organic.
Yeah, it's not organic.
Yeah. I found, the convenience sort of got very frustrating for me. I felt like the writing got very, just sort of, not in any way organic. It felt like, the loan shark has come to recover the money. Oh, the man comes to announce
Exactly.
that there is
There's
a
a
competition where he can win
Yeah,
2
yeah.
lakhs. It just felt like, my God, instead of me thinking what an amazing character this was, I felt like he just got the right breaks at the right time.
Right. Exactly. That's I
You know?
think that's pretty much even what I was thinking after I watched the film.
Hmm.
What did you think? I was curious about in people. What did you think about the UN speech towards the end?
It was again the crowd pleasing climax,
Right.
and a tad extended.
Hmm.
But I felt like at least I got back into sort of being invested in some way in the character.
Right.
But by then, what had driven me mad was the love angle.
Was the love angle and her standing on the balcony?
Her standing there, her sort of, so from where?
Yeah.
First of all, it drove me crazy that the two were living together in a village
Yeah,
in
that-
fictional
that
Madhya
was
Pradesh. I was like, wow, that is one progressive village, They don't talk about pads and periods, but it's
But
okay
they-
for a man
yeah.
and a woman to live together. But even then, I did not anticipate
Yeah, I
that
did not
it would
anticipate.
end up in this sort of full-blown kind of,
Right.
romantic moment between them, which I found just completely phony.
It was.
It was just completely phony. So for me, the saving grace in all of that was that last speech.
Was the last speech,
Did you not like it?
I didn't mind the speech. I didn't mind the emotion behind the speech.
Right.
I thought Akshay himself was, he was in it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
at various points of the film, he was in it.
He was in
for
it.
example, there was a scene earlier when I think he comes back next morning to check if Sonam Kapoor liked the pad the first time she wore it.
Right.
And
he says,
she was
"Kaisa
like,
tha?"
it's okay. And his
Yeah.
reaction on that, saying
Yeah.
that, normal tha. Is it okay? I've been waiting all my life to hear that.
Correct. Which was very sweet.
Those are
It
sweet
was very
scenes. Those are
tender moment.
scenes you
Yeah.
imagine, say, someone from a rural environment reacting that way
Right.
after being banished from his family, his wife.
Yeah.
And you felt his frustration there. Same way in the speech, I felt his frustration. But I had technical problem with the way Balki sort of thought. Like a guy from a Madhya Pradesh village speaking on the UN stage would speak in broken English,
Right.
but his sort of accent when he speaks the words itself is fine.
Right.
It's just stringing together a couple of grammatically wrong.
Correct.
Those
But
are
the pronunciation
the
is perfect.
pronunciation is perfect. It's like Akshay Kumar speaking, but he is actually trying to parody a villager.
Right.
The thing
right.
is, those technicalities sort of stand out, but then again, I'm being overly harsh there. I can't expect, but you expect something better from someone like Balki, who has sort of created a career out of turning a gimmicky concept into a 2-hour, 2.5-hour story. You expect better because he's made 4 or 5 films by now, and I don't know. As a director, this is in your hands,
Right,
and
right.
you're supposed to push your actor and not look at him as, say, Akshay Kumar, who is doing enough just by representing the sanitary napkin issue in the country.
Right.
You're supposed to push him as an actor. I can see one of the
That's
Khans
the
who
thing.
would have gone a bit further.
Yeah.
There.
See, that's the thing. So of course I got trolled massively for the review, as I'm sure. Did you?
Yeah.
And they're like, look at what he's putting across. Look at this, and look at how brave. And I agree with all of that.
right.
But finally, we cannot sort of evaluate a film on intentions.
We can't.
You
I
know,
don't
and
think
on the
anymore.
politics of the
Yeah,
film.
not
You're
anymore.
looking at the film. Is it?
Exactly.
And for me, Toilet Ek Prem Katha had exactly the same issues. Though I agree, this is a better film than that. Because there the sort of propaganda element
Was too obvious.
Yeah,
exactly.
I could not get past the kind of sort of rah-rahing of the government.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I felt like there was, I don't know. I just sort of, it's not like I expected Balki to blow me away with an original film in general, but something that didn't look like, say, a translation of an essay on sanitary napkins into a visual form,
Right.
Because there were so many scenes in which you saw Akshay Kumar talking to Sonam Kapoor and sort of rattling off statistics, rattling off very obvious statements that has been taken from a Wikipedia page in a way that is sort of made to inform people rather than
it's a public service announcement.
It's public service. And it felt out of place. You could see it most of the time. But then that's always the problem with Akshay Kumar films lately. That's the thing. People, I agree, people choose to look at intent, which is fine, but I don't think we live in an era where intent is enough now, Not when you're making a film, and especially not, because it is already a fictionalized version of a real life story. It's based on Twinkle Khanna's short story,
right?
Which is already
a fictionalized
version of
Arunachalam.
His story. So what is your excuse not to make it sort of a good film or an entertaining?
Right, because you're fictionalizing anyway.
You're fictionalizing it anyway. You've changed South India. You put a superstar in it. I don't think there is any excuse.
I mean, there were moments, like that whole montage when he's making the machine. I just felt like it looked like an ad to me.
Right. There were so many. Like there was a schoolgirl who principal was saying, girls don't come to school for 5 days.
Right.
And exactly 3 seconds later, you're seeing the schoolgirl jumping on a cycle, and that's exactly a sanitary pad advertisement. So that's where, I mean, I hate to admit it, but Balki's ad genes are still
in place.
Every one of his films are in place.
Yeah.
Like I absolutely hated Ki and Ka, and I'd say this is an improvement on that. I mean, that was pretentious. I just felt that was pretentious. But this was it's slightly better, but I can't even look at it as sort of one of the most important films like people are calling it. I can't do that, because
I can't either. And though again, props to all of them for choosing this. You know,
Yeah.
they have the muscle and the might to do anything.
Right.
And for them to say, no, this is the story we choose to tell is wonderful. And there is nothing more sort of effective in our country than cinema.
Right.
You know, and honestly, if they change one mind, even hats
Yeah,
off.
that's good for them.
It's
And
good for them.
you know,
I
but-
just wish it had been a better film.
Yeah, I just wish they treated filmmaking, as storytelling, rather than sort of wanting to change lives every time, because
Right.
sometimes that
Overshadows it.
overshadows the whole thing. And
Yeah.
I'm not complaining. I don't mind such films over a longer period of time. But I just hope even the biopics, for example, they're based on real life stories and all. I just wish they find a balance, because it's 2018 now, and I don't think we've improved as far as the biopic scene is concerned.
Yeah.
We don't, because I have the same problems with all these films, and I feel like I sound repetitive after a while. I think most of us do, because we are trying to put a finger on what is wrong with the whole landscape of sort of narrative non-fiction converted into docudramas, and but it's just it's the same thing over and over again. It's accessibility, and they get carried away with the accessibility. The whole publicity campaign sort of overshadowed the film itself.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's great, good intentions, but that's not for me. We are here to review a film. We are here to watch a film. So I think we should be talking about that.
Exactly. And in the same way, honestly, Rahul, that I can't let my politics get in the way of, let's say, reviewing a Padmavat.
Padmavat, right? This is the same.
It's the
pretty
same
much
thing.
The same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I cannot say that, as a woman, I see it that this was, whether I agree or I don't agree about the Johor scene, and that then becomes my review of the film.
Yeah.
It can't be my review of the film.
Yeah.
You have to see the film as a film, and then if you have issues with that scene, then you have issues. Say this is wonderful because the intent is wonderful.
Because the intent, I think we've passed that time. And,
Yeah.
I don't know. I was reading today. There is a slight. I don't know how big it is right now. There's a controversy going on about a certain plagiarism thing leveled against Balki.
Oh, really?
Because there's a writer who apparently wrote a script in 2016 about the same topic, and he claims that around 10 dialogues or a couple of scenes have been
Are the same?
The dialogues are the same or something like that, and he's pretty much he's asked for help on Facebook and started lawyering up for a case.
Right.
And Balki's reaction, sort of his response I read today was, it was his life, it was a real life we based our story on. And is this writer claiming that his story is original enough, the real life wouldn't have existed if not for his story. Because, a lot of people must be wanting to write scripts on this guy.
Right.
And that was his reaction. But then I have to call out that reaction, because these are the same guys who, when I read the concept Twinkle Khanna, I was like, what exactly are you saying here?
Yeah.
It's the same thing, because Balki's reaction today to that guy is pretty much, I'm sorry to say, it is hypocritical in that way, because I know it's a true story, but a lot of people are going to write scripts on it, but if there are certain dialogues that are taken from it and all, there probably is a case. You never know. We'll know in time.
Yeah.
But you can't react that way.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of big directors I see react that way.
Yeah.
And I feel like this time they had to be called out, because they've done the exact same thing.
Right.
Except they had the money to buy the rights of the life.
Sure.
Before saying concept Twinkle Khanna, it's like they created
Lakshmi, Arunachalam.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like they created him. So they have to be careful with crediting like that.
Of course. So Rahul, what are you looking forward to this week?
Shape of Water.
Yes, so exciting.
Definitely Shape of Water.
I love Del Toro.
Yeah. And,
such an exciting director.
You're
not a Marvel fan, so
I'm not a Marvel fan,
Black
but
Panther's doing nothing for you.
I will watch Black Panther in time.
You will?
In time.
How have you changed your mind?
No, I watched Thor 2 in time.
Well done.
I didn't mind it at all.
Oh! Well done.
There's no bullying involved from the film companion office. But I watched this in time. So those are the two, obviously, the big thing. There's Ayari also.
Yes.
There's not much buzz about it, but...
But Neeraj Pandey is interesting.
He's
you know?
interesting. I'm not a big fan, but you at least you can love him or hate him. You can't really.
Right. There's a point of view.
Yeah, there's a point of view, and
Yes.
there's no indifference towards him. So
Right.
and he has some decent actors in the
Yeah.
film. So I hope there is something there.
And before we wrap, Rahul, I want to talk just a little bit about Love Per Square Foot,
Yes.
which is the first Indian film made specifically for Netflix, which is just fantastic. I think we need to acknowledge that the needle has moved.
Yeah, finally, it's about time.
It's about time.
Yeah, and that film is releasing on Valentine's Day on Netflix. I'll be reviewing it. I watched it yesterday.
Yeah.
Early buzz is it's a fun film.
How lovely.
Yeah,
How lovely.
Yeah, so let's see. Let's hope this gives rise to a few more Netflix productions.
Yeah, and Rahul, for me, I was at the center of the Netflix controversy in Cannes. I mean, I've witnessed that whole explosion in Cannes where the directors and the head of the jury, Pedro Almodovar, was like very down on Netflix, and Netflix, of course, had Okja in competition.
Right.
Meanwhile, the Theatre Exhibition Association was completely against it.
Yeah.
And this whole thing of, is Netflix killing the theatrical business? And I have to say that I just think it will give such a sort of leg up to talent.
To so much talent.
To so much talent in this country, because the gatekeepers will no longer be able to just say no to anybody who they don't approve of. Yeah. And you'll see so many different subjects. I mean, I don't think there's any downside to this.
I think in a country like this, it's perfect. I
perfect.
don't see because this is I don't think there are any excuses left for filmmakers to not make their films.
Bilkul.
So I think it's a good thing, because talent like like Sumit Vyas, Anand Tiwari, who we've seen in on stage in smaller independent films and as side roles in most. They finally have a chance to express their voice, and that's a good thing. And I look forward to say more productions like this year, because I've seen that Amazon has a heads up in the web series space.
Right.
But it's nice that Netflix has entered the Indian market.
The movies.
The movies.
Super. Yeah. So we will be back next week.
Yep.
With more movies to talk about,
including,
for once, Mr. Desai will see a Marvel film, but not before next week, maybe.
Hopefully, let's see. I won't promise anything.
He stands non-committed. Thank you for watching.